Good morning, good morning. Happy Technique Tuesday with Tracy. Today we are going to mask. Let's mask together. So we're going to be using our Stampin' Up! Masking paper. It comes in a pack like this with 12 sheets. Now I keep mine in one of our empty stamp cases. You can buy packs of 4 empty stamp cases. And I keep my scraps in here, and these are the sheets. So one side is a matte mask, the other side has sticky on it, and it's removable sticky. So it's going to allow you to do some masking techniques, which we are going to do together today. So we're gonna use this scrap here. I'm gonna put this aside, and we're gonna talk about a couple different ways that you can mask. So I'm gonna bring in a piece of basic white. I'm gonna bring in a half sheet of grid paper so it can get on there. And we're gonna use our Seaside Wishes bundle today. So I love the sand dollars in here. Comes with dies, and there is a hybrid embossing folder that allows you to get the texture of the sand dollars and also die cut them at the same time. We're not going to use all of that today, but we are going to use this stamp here and the die and one of the sentiments in there. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of our masking paper. I've got a basic beige ink pad here. Good morning, Ty. And I've got my stamp of the sand dollar. This is the smaller sand dollar. So we're just gonna ink this up on our basic beige. So we've got that. We're gonna stamp this down onto our masking paper. So what this is gonna allow us to do is a fun technique with stamping. So that's what I wanted to show you first. So we've just stamped our image onto a piece of our grid paper. And then what we would do is we would take either a pair of scissors and fussy cut this image out if it didn't have a die. If it has a die, you can line it up and die cut it right out of that masking paper, and what you'd be left with is the sand dollar. So I kind of did it ahead so that you didn't have to watch that part. And so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our piece of basic white, and we've got our stamped masked sand dollar. We've got our basic beige, and we're going to ink up our stamp. So one way you can use this masking paper is, let's say we want to cover this in sand dollars. So we stamped one, and we didn't want to leave a space, but we wanted to overlap them. Well, if we just stamped this down, like let me stamp this on our scratch paper here. If we just overlap and stamp them, do you see how dark that is? You might not always want that overlap. You might want them to look like they are just sitting on top of each other. And so for that instance, we will take our remember we stamped this on the masking paper. We're gonna peel off the back, and it's got that removable, we'll call it light tack. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna line this up directly over that one that we stamped. We'll ink back up our sand dollar. We'll stamp right over that, and then what we will do is we will remove our mask. And so now we have an overlapped sand dollar, so they look like they are just sitting on top of each other rather than being over stamped on each other. And then we could continue this if we wanted to make this like a background. We could continue this and just keep stamping our sand dollars. And let's say we'll stamp another one here, and maybe, let's see, another one there. Maybe we've got one peeking out over here. And then let's say we're going to overlap another one. So we'll just bring our mask back and we're going to line it up again. So we're just putting this over, directly over one of our stamped images. We're going to stamp this one down. We're going to remove that mask. So you see how they look like they're just right on top of each other, like layered on top of each other. And then this one here, let's do that right there. Ink it up again. And we'll have another overlapped sand dollar. And let's say this one here, we want just a third one right there, right? We can do the same thing again. Let's just make sure that we line this right up. And you see you can use the same mask over and over and over again for this technique. So this one is just going to be a little one. We'll stamp that down. And now look, we remove that and we've got 3 layered there. So that is a really fun and easy way to use our masking paper. I love that you can stamp right on it, die cut it, or fussy cut it out to create that mask. And you know, you can even stick it back on here, put it inside your stamp case and use it next time. They are so great for that. So that is one way that we can use our masking technique, is to do some overlapping with our different images. So we'll put that one aside. I'm going to bring in another piece of basic white. And this time I've got a piece of 1 inch cut of our masking paper. So we're just going to take off the backings of this and we're going to line this on our grid paper. And we're going to, I love our grid paper for using these lines. So this is just going to hold this down, but also it's going to help me know that this is straight because I just lined it up with these 2 lines on my scratch grid paper here. So the same thing, let's say on this with the sand dollar, we're still using our basic beige. Let's say on the top here, we're going to want some sand dollars. This time, I'm not going to overlap them, but we're just going to stamp them, but we just want it on this top half of our basic white here. And then let's say, so we've got our stamps there, the masking paper is going to protect it. So when I take this off, these bottom sand dollars are not going to be there, right? It's just going to be from here up. I've got a blending brush here. So this one I have labeled with basic beige. So another way you can use our masking paper is to stamp and to just stop that line, but you can also use it with some color. So let's say we were using our blending brush here. I'm just getting some more ink on here. We're going to start off of the paper that we want to, kind of in the corner, and we're just going circular motion with our basic beige, and we're just going to give this bottom half just a tiny bit of color. And so you can blend this out. You could do ombre with a few different colors. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can do with that, but we're using just the basic beige today because I want you to be able to see how even just adding color to one area of your paper that maybe you don't want to do the whole thing, right? Maybe you only want basic beige on the bottom. So that was our blending brush. Love those. I use the mini ones. I prefer them. I don't know if it's because I have small hands. I just feel like they're easier to handle. And it's the bigger ones, the regular size ones, are bigger. So I just love our mini ones, our small blending brushes. Okay, so we're done with our basic beige here. But I want you to see now when we take our masking paper off, and so with this, you want to just peel it back kind of slowly. It's not going to ruin your paper. So the reason I another reason I love our masking paper is because it's not ultra sticky. So even like masking tape that you might use to paint a wall, while it's good on a wall, on our paper, it will remove some of the paper, right? Even though it's a low tack as well, but our masking paper does not do that. It just lets you get a clean removal of our paper. So you've got that, and you see here we have our stamped images, we have our coloring, and now what is so fun that we can do is we can bring in some basic gray and a sentiment. So this is a new sentiment. So anytime you have a new photopolymer stamp, I like to ink it up and stamp it just off on scrap paper, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, just so that if there's any residue from production, that it will come off and you'll get a clean stamped image. So we're just gonna ink this up now. And in that white space, it's really fun to create a place for your sentiment. So you can just stamp that down, and now it almost looks like your sentiment is floating, right? Because you've got it in the middle of our stamped sand dollars, our colored basic beige, and now just as is, it could be a done card, just as is, we could just mount this on a card base and be totally done. So there you have some masking tips, whether it be masking to create double layers, masking images with the masking paper so that you can do some overlapping. I love, love, love our masking paper. There's tons of options with it, with coloring, with stamping, all kinds of things. So happy Technique Tuesday. Get yourself some of our masking paper and go to town, right? With all the fun creating. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon.